Our silence is so disorienting for them. They want us to be mad and scared so bad. And y'all just refuse to give that to them. So here we are with made up stories about mobs of youth taking over the streets of DC with threats to occupy other predominantly black cities. But we predicted this. We saw this coming. We've said that we saw this coming. And so to make this announcement and to do all of this extra just feels a little bit embarrassing on their part. Like, y'all been running the same playbook for 400 years. We saw you coming, guys. We heard you. White supremacy is literally a joke. They know it, we know it, and they know that we know it. They will do anything to hold on to whiteness because without it, they are nothing, and would have to admit that there is absolutely nothing supreme about them, and that other cultures have run circles around them, even with 400 years of a head start and stolen labor. White supremacy, Trump and MAGA are literally the death rattle of white supremacy, and they are fighting tooth and nail to stay relevant.
The same system that called itself superior today is collapsing. The same people that called themselves superior today are collapsing. You can't build a heaven in a stolen land. Grand Rising Kings and Queens, hail again wherever you are, and welcome back to our YouTube space. I am Majuka Music. Today, we want just to talk on how America is being collapsing spiritually. Ladies and gentlemen, before we even continue with this commentary, I beg that you watch this video up to an end so that you can get the basement of this video. Before we continue, let's watch some of the clips and then we come back with more commentary. Let's go.
It's been absolutely hilarious the last couple of days watching all these evangelical Christians who all of a sudden care about prophecy and the Jews fulfilling prophecy. And really what it is all their white supremacy is just coming out. Because now all of a sudden Israel and Hamas and what's happening in Gaza, all of a sudden that's filling prophecy. And they never cared about any of the prophecies concerning the people that call themselves Jews. Because if they did, they would pick up and they would see that Ashkenazis are sons of Japheth from the line of Gomer and not Shem. And they would see that their whole claim, the whole Zionism claim, is false. They would see that the true children of Israel, according to prophecy, are scattered into all these different nations by way of ship. And that they have spent most of the last 400 years, or most of the latter days, serving their enemies, not the Most High. Their heritage was taken away from them. Even says that in Jeremiah 17 and the prophets 17:4. They have no idea who they are. It says that in the Torah that and the prophets that their enemies would become their gods because they didn't want to serve the Most High. That's how much dominance their enemies would have over them. But now all of a sudden, these people are fulfilling prophecy. Now the white evangelical Christians and those of you that follow them, now all of a sudden these people are fulfilling prophecy. And that's amazing to me, and you just show what liars and hypocrites you are and how you don't follow that book. It's a tool for you to maintain supremacy. and see what's happening is this is not the valley of Jehoshaphat. All these nations aren't gathering against Israel because, or what they call the nation of Israel, because they're with the Most High. They're gathering against Israel because they're sick of white supremacy. And the Holy One himself is sick of lies. And all liars are going to come down in the last day. So that's what you're seeing. The end of white supremacy. And that is prophecy too. Hallelujah.
The narrative of Miss Sarah Douglas. She says, I was born in Alabama. I don't know when though. I did not find out when I was born because Old Miss never told me. Mama died when I was real small, and Old Miss raised me. I had a hard time of my life. I slept on the floor just like a cat. Anywhere I lay, I slept. In the winter, I slept on rags. If I got sick, Old Miss would give me plenty of medicine because she wanted me to stay well in order to work. My old master's name was John Buffett, and Old Miss's name was Eddie Buffett. She would fix my bread and liquors in a tin lid and shove it to me on the floor. I never ate at the table until I was 12, and that was after freedom. To whip me, she would put my head between the fence rails, and she'd take in the cowhide and whip me until I couldn't sit down for a week. Sometimes she tied my hands around a tree and tie our necks to the tree with our faces to the tree. They would get behind us with the cowhide whip with a piece of lead tied to the end. Lord have mercy. Child, I shouted when I wasn't happy. All I could say, oh pray, mistress, pray. That was our way of saying, Lord have mercy. The last whipping old Mrs. give me, she tied me to a tree, and oh my Lord, old Mrs. whipped me that day. That day was the worst whipping I ever got in my life. I cried and bucked and hollered until I couldn't. I gave up for dead and she wouldn't stop. I stopped crying and said to her, oh miss, if I were you and you were me, I wouldn't beat you this way. That's that cowhide whip. We went to the white folks' church. We sit in the back on the floor. They allowed us to join their church when I asked our miss and master what they thought about it, and if they could see any changes. They would get up and say, I notice she don't steal. I notice she don't lie as much. Notice she worked better. Then they let us join. We served our mistress and our master in slavery time and not God.
Real valley of Jehoshaphat will come about when Babylon and the land of Havilah, where there is gold, okay, which is Africa, when it becomes self-determined and the Most High raises them up as he's doing with us right now, and they decide that the Gentiles can no longer freely take their resources and what the Most High has given them. And they say no more to the bauxite and to the cobalt and to the gold and uranium, all this stuff that they've been taking. That's going to be the valley of Jehoshaphat, with all the nations gather against that region over there in Africa, Babylon. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful land of Eden.
And just as a side note, when they say, don't you know this is Australia in the 21st century? Dear brother and sister, we were all born here, most of us. We don't care what country this is. Let's just be very, very blunt about this. This whole culture of being afraid what they're going to say about us because we're in this or that country, it has to stop. They need to know that we don't care what they think about us. We need to care what Allah Azza wa Jal thinks about us. You think they have a culture that we're afraid with? You know, they say, don't go against the modern culture, the majority culture. Do you think they have a culture that remains of theirs? Do you think anything will remain of their culture in 50 years, dear brother? It'll get swallowed up by multiculturalism and waves of migration. You know it, dear brother. The white supremacy of the West is finished. It's yesterday's news. So stop trying to please the white man, as they say. They know that their culture is going down. We need to stop caring where we are and when we are and care what Allah is pleased with. Islam is the same here as it is over there in any country. So get over it.
My bad if I'm a little late on this. The other night, all Republicans unanimously voted against Amendment 31. Amendment 31 is an interagency cooperative plan to identify, discuss, and eradicate white supremacy within our law enforcement agencies in America. Let me repeat that. Every single Republican voted against Amendment 31. And Amendment 31 was an interagency cooperative plan to identify, discuss, and eradicate white supremacy in our law enforcement in America. Now, why, oh, why would you not want us to identify, discuss, and eradicate white supremacy in our law enforcement in America?
I think white people are disconnected from their spirits, and some men too, because of the patriarchy and racism. I have a theory. Okay, so I made a diagram. Everyone is made up of their mind, their body, and their spirit, right? We with me? Okay. So, but your spirit lives inside of here. This is your spirit. But your spirit, or your true self, your spirit is your truest sense of self. But you protect your spirit with your ego, right? With like this projection of your spirit, this version of yourself, this version of your spirit that you put out, you project out into the world so that people interact with this ego first. And so if that ego is bruised or hurt or tainted, that is, they feel like their spirit is being attacked because it's a version of their spirit, but it is not truly their spirit. But because I feel like the patriarchy and racism have inflated let's make it bigger, shall we? Has inflated the ego of white people by way of white supremacy, and men by way of the patriarchy. Their ego is gigantic in comparison to their spirit, and their spirit has been shrink to this little itty bitty little dot. So here's their spirit now, but their ego is like this. And so when they can't hear their spirit, they can't see their spirit, they don't even know what their spirit looks like. This is why everyone's like, oh, listen to black women are magic, or we're so smart. And it's like, black women, we have not had our ego inflated to the size of the planet Earth. And so we can hear our spirit, we can hear our intuition, which is really what it is. When you're listening to your spirit, you're listening to your intuition. And your intuition is your ability to navigate throughout the world, collect data based on your experiences, based on what you see, based on your five senses, what you feel, and then like how you use them, all the experiences that you have. Whenever you have those gut feelings or like that initial reaction when you meet someone or when you see someone or like that, all of that data that you collected throughout your life, it comes to you in a moment and a feeling, and that is your intuition. Your intuition is really just like a computer processor putting out information, but you can't read through all that information. Your intuition is basically the best AI in the whole wide world. You can't read through all of it as a human. Your mind can't process that much information, but your spirit can. And so whenever it tells you something, you have you feel it. You feel like this person is weird, or I'm afraid here, or ooh, but you can't put words to it. You can't explain why you don't like this person, but you just don't like them. Or you can't explain why this man feels creepy because he's smiling, he's handsome, he looks nice, but something about you creeps you out, but the man will be like, I'm not creepy, I'm a wonderful person, and everyone else is like, oh, I'm a wonderful person, he's a wonderful person. And so you ignore that intuition, that spirit, in favor of your ego because he's fine, he's a good looking man, and so you listen to the ego, and then you end up hurt in some way because you didn't listen to your spirit, your intuition. But men and white people, they have had their spirits like shrunk, especially white people, because white people have this like they are incentivized to not be themselves. They are incentivized to not be unique. They are incentivized to consume. Their culture is consumption, and the more you consume, the more you are feeding your ego. Like, consumption is feeding your ego. You can only feed your spirit by like the opposite of consumption. Like, you feed your spirit by like sitting with self, by meditation, by introspection, by like just thinking, just like you feed your spirit by just being. You're like, when you are okay with just being alive, just being here, you find your inherent worth as a human being by just breathing the air that we breathe. That is how you feed your spirit. But when you are consuming, that is feeding the ego. And white people have a consumerist culture. They have this, and they've spread it to everyone. So a lot of people have this more of this consumerist mentality, but men have it a lot specifically because they are rewarded the more they consume, the more resources they consume, the more women they consume or conquer, the more children they have, which will create more consumption in the world. that feeds their ego, and the ego gets bigger and bigger. And the bigger your ego is, the tinier your spirit becomes. Like your spirit's like hello, and it's like shouting into a dark room that's locked into a cage because you don't feed your spirit with just being. I can't explain that enough. Just I am because I am. I'm here. I'm to like being present, like not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past. Just breath work. Is like being intentionally very extremely present. But yeah, so that's my running theory, that why white people are kind of awful sometimes, and they don't see racism, they don't see when they're being awful, because all that would come with being in touch with your spirit. But when your ego has been inflated, been pumped up by capitalism, been pumped up by the patriarchy, been pumped up by white supremacy, you're never going to hear this. You're never going to hear that. And you're just going to be like, oh my God, black women, they just seem so amazing. I don't understand why they're that way and I'm not this way. Or black men, anyways. Yeah, so, what do you think?
Demonizing the spiritual practices of other cultures while simultaneously propping up Christianity as the holier-than-thou practice in spiritual religion is a form of white supremacy and Christian nationalism, and it's a complete and direct reflection of how freedom of religion is only okay when you practice the white man's religion. I have seen this consistently happen, but I have specifically seen this happen in the Black community, where we have been made to believe that anything that comes from the East, anything that comes from Africa, anything that comes from India, or any other Black and brown country is of demonic origin, while we are also simultaneously taught that Jesus was the one savior. And it is also no coincidence that Jesus here is white, and we are praying to a white Jesus, and we are praying to a God that is a man. Overall, white Christianity, especially here in America, just furthers the white savior complex, and this idea that as Black and brown people, we are inherently bad, we are inherently dirty, and we are inherently evil, and we need someone white to rectify us and purify us. So it is so unfortunate that things such as yoga, crystals, meditation, manifestation, hoodoo, voodoo are seen as demonic, when if you really ask me, Christianity has caused a lot more evil and harm than any of these things has.
All right, welcome back. Today, when I do say that white America is experiencing spiritual collapse, I think I'm not wrong. We have seen even the prophets of God coming forward and prophesied that America is going to collapse. Okay? I think that is not the time for the Black people to come out and to fight anymore. I think it is not the time for the Black people to step forward and fight anymore. It is time the truth is revealing itself. It is time God is doing great things. It is time God is revealing the truth and keeping his people safe. Okay? Because we have all seen what America used to do. We have all seen how do other racial used to cry for America. We have seen what America used to cause other minority groups to undergo. Okay? And all this, I can put in short that all this is the main reason why today white America is falling. Okay? We see how this white America used to discriminate the Black people. We see how these Black Americans discriminated the Black people. We see how the Black Americans segregated other minorities. And today, it is very ironical to see these people who used to discriminate others, who used to segregate others, crying too. Okay? There is something I need to talk a little bit. There is this system that was being designed in order to favor the white American. The system was named after the American Dream. American Dream was one system that was being designed in order to come and to make sure that the white person will never fall in life. The white person will always come out and succeed in life. But today, it is very ironical to see white Americans not getting any help out of the system. Today, it is very ironical to see white Americans stepping forward crying because the system has failed for them. Today, it is very sad to see black Americans crying, being angry because they can't sustain any more life. While, on the other hand, we see the black people enjoying life. We see the Caribbeans doing their things naturally. We see the black Americans proceeding with their work, succeeding. Okay? And that's the reason why today I'm saying America is falling. Some prophets prophesied, some prophets even warned these white supremacists, but they didn't listen. And today they are regretting. Today they are regretting that they wish they could have listened to the black people. They wished they could have come down and listened to the black Americans. Okay? They could have been not crying today. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what can you say about this story. Down in the comment section, kindly make sure that you leave me with your thought. Remember, I'm your co-host Majoka Music, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. I am Majoka Music, and let's meet to the next video. Peace out.